Greetings and salutations, this is Rick. I hope you're having a great day. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make a shield out of foam board. This is a shield that I created over the last few days. Now this was my experimentation project, basically just to see whether I could make one. Now I know how to do it, I can now make a how-to video and show you guys. What I'm going to be looking to do today is make a shield that will fit over these swords. Now originally I could have put that one on there, but I think it's a bit too big. So I'm going to make a smaller one and hopefully it'll sit much better over the swords. Now the design I intend to make today is actually my own Clark family crest. Now first things first, we're going to need a pattern for our shield. And I went online, I dug out a basic shield pattern, and I took that picture, saved the picture, and then took it to a place called Block Posters, and there they can actually take your picture and spread it over multiple sheets. And what I will do is I will include a link to the file for this particular shield under this video. Now you only actually need half of the pattern. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it onto the board, I'm going to cut around it, and then I'm going to flip it over and cut around it, and that way you should get some good symmetry. Right, this is a piece of foam board that it's actually a cut down piece that I was using on a different project, but I think it's going to be ideal. All I'm going to do is use a piece of masking tape, not duct tape or sellotape or anything too sticky. I need to be able to peel this off afterwards. I'm just going to stick this down with, this is a green frog tape, which should be absolutely fine for this. There we go, just 2 anchor points should be fine. And then I can draw around that and then flip it over and draw around it that way, and then I should get some really good symmetry. So let's do that now. Okay, I'm going to use this marker pen here. There we go, one, hopefully you can see that, shield. And because this is masking tape, it comes off the foam board and doesn't leave any marks. There we go, that's the picture of the shield. So now I've got to cut it out. And I can only really do this freehand. I'm going to use a scalpel. This is quite an old blade on there, so I'm going to put a new blade on the scalpel. You need a really good blade, otherwise this foam board can get damaged. Right, so to cut this out, you've got to kind of do it freehand. So I think the trick is to cut through the paper on the first pass, and then hopefully you should be able to cut all the way through it on the second pass. There we go. Do the same with this. So it's just a gentle trace through the paper to start with, and then full on cut. So it's just a gentle freehand cut. This is actually quite a forgiving material to cut. You haven't got to push too hard with the knife as well, which is a good thing. And then the second cut, I can tell that's cutting all the way through. Obviously I'm using a cutting board underneath, as I don't really want to be cutting into the table. That would be bad. So, one shield shape. Right, let's just do a quick test fit, just to make sure this is going to look about right. I think, yeah, I think that's just perfect. So I get my own little coat of arms on there. With the cross shields, I think that's pretty much in proportion. So cool. Now it's time to get creative. We need to curve this into a shield shape, and to do that I'm going to need some water and some tins. Now I'm going to be using these coasters. These are made of glass and they're quite heavy. so they're going to be ideal. So what I need to do is paint some water over one side of this, and then as it dries out it's going to slowly curve. I'm going to help it along by adding some weight to it, and so we just need to get this nice and wet. So we've got a nice even soaking all over. Now if you're making a larger shield, some people will put a bit of tape across the middle and hold the middle down, but because I'm going to be using weights, I don't think I need to do that. So there we go, that's soaking wet. Let's just make sure there's nowhere I've missed. So there's a nice coat of water all over the one face of the shield here, and now I'm going to add these weights. There we go, that should do it. That's pretty heavy now. Right, and now I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm going to use my heat gun to dry this out a little bit faster than normal. Right then, let's have a look. There we go, one curved shield. Now I could have a second stab at that and make it go a little bit further, but I think, let me just hold it up to the coat of arms. Yeah, that's going to be absolutely fine as it is. So there we go, job done. Right, so now comes the fun bit. We've got to actually design the shield. Now this is going to be my family crest, which is the Clark crest, and it's basically going to be a stripe going across diagonally with 3 swans in it. Then we're going to have 2 black dots at the top and 1 black dot at the bottom. Now what I'm going to use is this stuff. This is draft excluder, and I think this is about 10mm thick, and I'm going to use it to go around the edge to basically kind of mark the edge of the shield and give it that kind of 3D effect. So the wonderful thing about this is because it's foam, it stretches and it flexes side to side, so you haven't got any worries. If I were to cut out say foam board to stick on the sides, I would have to cut it out in a curved shape because it doesn't flex side to side, but this draft excluder does, and once it's painted up it actually looks pretty good. Right, there we go. We've got this tape all the way around, so you've got a nice rim around the shield. Now, I do want to put 2 more pieces across the shield to mark out the diagonal zone. Unfortunately, I can't do that until I've printed out the little swans that I'm going to include on here, because I don't know how big they're going to be right now. But as soon as I've got one ready, I shall come back to you and we'll go from there. Okay, I've managed to print out my swan, and it's about the right size that I want it for. There are 3 of them. I've got another one on the printer now, and then a third one that will print out afterwards. I just need to pull off the backing, and then I've got to literally pull it tight in order to get it in a straight line. Okay, so I'm pulling that in a straight line and sticking to my fingers. So I'm going to go for that. There we go. I get one hit at it, so there's no second guesses with this. It's just a case of going for it. There we go. So that's the line. The bird will determine how wide the line is, and then I just need to put a second line in. There we go. So we have ourselves a stripe. It's going to make it a lot easier as well to paint it. Okay, I've got to decide on the border colour. What colour I'm going to paint this foam. I'm presuming I'm going to go for gold again, because gold looks quite good. Now, I would like to be able to not have to paint this and just leave it white. That would be good. But it's whether I can mask these lines off efficiently enough. I'll have a go and see if we can do that. Okay, so I've managed to mask off all of the areas that are going to be white, and that will remain masked until I think it's finished. So what I need to do now is go around the edge and paint that in this very nice metallic gold colour. Right, I just started painting and then I realised I'd actually forgotten to put the rivets on. So these are 7mm googly eyes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick them all around the shield, and they'll actually look like rivets once they're painted over, and they'll really set off the way the shield looks. It'll make it look properly metal.
Let the dancing begin.
Music. Okay, there we go. So that is all of the edges painted in gold, and now I've just got to fill in this white bit, make that red. Okay, so here we go. Now I've got the red pretty much finished there. It's still drying a little bit, but it's almost ready to go. I've got now 3 swans, which I'm going to put on when that's completely dry. Also, I've got 3 round circles currently being printed out. Now each one's going to take 70 minutes to print out, so I'm not going to be able to finish this today. So I'm going to come back to this as soon as all those discs have been printed. I'm going to come back to this and then we can move on. Okay, it's the next day and I now have printed off all of the components that I need, which is basically the 3 dots and the 3 swans that I need for the shield. I've also removed all of the masking tape from the shield, so essentially the shield is looking pretty good, and it's sort of ready pretty much for the components to go on. Like I say, the swans are going to be white, but you kind of get the idea. I'm just literally going to prepare them and stick them on, and that pretty much will be job done.
A moment of silence.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
Okay, there we go. That's the swans painted up. I decided to paint them in sort of slightly swan colour, so you can actually tell they're a swan. I've actually put the orange on the beak and a little black bit around the eye, and I've done that for all 3. So these are now ready to go. I've also painted up these things, these discs, so they're all a flat matte colour, so they've got a kind of a uniform sheen to them. and they're basically ready to go on the shield. So I'm just going to glue those in place, and then all I've got to think about is some sort of fixing on the back, and I think we're done. Okay, here we go. We're going to just put a blob in the middle. Doesn't have to be massively glued down, just enough to hold it in place. You've got a little bit of time to move it around as well, just to make sure it's where you want it. If you put a blob of glue in the middle, it gives you the option to make adjustments, which is good. So, blob of glue in the middle, and we're going there. There we go. Pretty good. Okay, so now we've got to figure out something for hanging it up. I'm just going to use some cloth trim, I think. I'm basically going to hang the whole thing on a map pin, so I just want something that's going to be suitable. Okay, so there we go. That's the little holder on the back, and all I've done is I've put a little drawing pin on the wall here, or a map pin, so it sticks out from the wall. I'm just going to try to hang it on there like so, and I think that is job done. Just turn it so it looks a bit straight. Superb. There we go. Family coat of arms. Very happy with that. It's turned out really well. So there we go. That's my little video on how to make a shield out of nothing more than foam board and a few stick-on bits. Like I say, I used my stick-on bits were 3D printed parts, but I'm pretty sure you can do exactly the same thing with a little bit of craft foam or even card. Just paint them up, stick them on. Nobody's going to know the difference. Now, the same principle for making this shield was exactly the same principle that I used for making this shield. It's exactly the same. You can just scale them up, scale them down to go with whatever your needs are. I hope that was useful to someone. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of the day. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.
Classic, and at the same time, progressive.